Hey everybody, and welcome to the Tax Playbook. I'm Trenda Hackett CPA, and I'm with the Web CPA Virtual Tax Clinic. I'm so happy you are joining me on today. I have some good information, some great information to share with you today. But before we get into this episode, I want you to like this video, share this video, comment on this video, and be sure to subscribe to this channel so you can be in the know of great content that I'm adding for the next time. So let's get into our topic on today. Hey, it's another day in the tax clinic. And here again, I've had a few visits virtual visits this morning and just doing some tax returns. And I was doing this tax return for one of my clients who is a senior citizen. They're over the age of 65. And I was doing this tax return for them and just so excited to be able to give them their results because typically they normally kind of owe a few dollars or get a lower refund. But this year they're going to be very excited to hear the news that I have to share with them about their refund this year. So I came on to tell you the reason why they're getting a refund this year is because of this new tax deduction that is available under the One Big Beautiful Bill. And so we're going to talk about that today and what it means for you. Here again, this is for senior citizens that are age 65 and over. So what am I talking about? Under the One Big Beautiful Bill, starting in 2025 until 2028, there is a new bonus deductions. You may see it as an enhanced deduction of $6,000 per individual age 65 and older. And I'm going to walk through what does that mean for you. So what does that mean for a person that is 65 or older? You may be 65 or older. You may have parents that may be fit in that age bracket. And hey, you know, some of us or some people that are 65 and older, they're still working or maybe getting a retirement check each month. So this is important. This is very significant because in the case of my clients, they, still worked. One spouse still work and one gets a 1099-R. One gets a W-2 and they both get the Social Security. This is a joint return that I'm talking about, but I'm going to give you information whether you're single, head of household, married filing joint, or married filing separate. I'm going to give you the numbers of how this can benefit those taxpayers that are age 65 and over. So here again, there's a new enhanced bonus deduction of $6,000 that is available starting in 2025 and it's going into 2028. This $6,000 is in addition to the standard deduction that you already get. So nothing changed except for, the inflation adjusted amount. It changes each year for the standard deduction, but nothing changed. So this is not taking anything away from you, but it's adding an extra $6,000 deduction to the already standard deduction. And what is really actually separate from the standard deduction is just a new bonus deduction. But anytime you can get a deduction, it helps to reduce the amount of income that you pay tax on, which in turn reduces your tax bill. So what does this mean and why is this important? So first of all, I want to just kind of break it down to you how the standard deduction and this deduction works. So first of all, every taxpayer, regardless of your age, but based on your filing status, is entitled to a standard deduction. And so what the law says, you can take the larger of the standard deduction or the itemized deduction, but not both. But in the case of an individual that is 65 or older, based on your filing status, you get a higher standard deduction. And then on top of this, starting in 2025, you'll get that $6,000 bonus deduction. So let's just see how the numbers fall out. If you look here on the screen, so what this means is for a single individual a single individual with no dependents, and let's just say this single person is 65 and older. So what is the maximum deduction this year? So the regular standard deduction is $15,750. An additional $2,000 for age 65 and older. That's an additional standard deduction. And then the new deduction for 2025 is an extra $6,000, bringing a total maximum deduction possibly for a single individual that is 65 years and older of $23,750. However, you would add an additional $2,000 if the person is 65 and older and blind. So that can bring a single person's maximum deduction up to $25,750 if the person is blind. So what does this mean for, let's just go to a person that is filing head of household. The regular deduction for head of household is $23,625. That's the regular basic standard deduction. If the person is age 65 or older, there's an additional deduction of $2,000. And then starting in 2025, the $6,000 enhanced or bonus deduction, bringing a head of household individual, their maximum deduction of the bonus deduction and the standard deduction could potentially be $31,625. However, if the person is 65 older and blind, you add an additional $2,000, bringing that total maximum deduction up to $33,625. Let's talk about a married filing joint. Married filing joint, the basic regular standard deduction for a person that is married filing joint is $31,500. Okay. So I'm going to give you a scenario, give you the numbers if one spouse is 65 and older, and then give you the numbers, if you look on the screen, if both spouses are 65 and older. So the regular basic standard deduction for married filing joint is $31,500. However, if one spouse is 65 or older, you add an additional $1,600 for the additional deduction. Now, for the one spouse that's 65 and older, you get the additional $6,000 bonus deduction, bringing the total maximum deduction possible for a married filing joint return where one spouse is 65 years and older of $39,100. However, if one spouse is blind, you add an extra $1,600. So in the case of joint return, it is per, when you get to these additional deduction and the new bonus deduction for this year, is per person. Now, if you're married filing joint, let's say both spouses are 65 years and older. So you still have your basic $31,500, your basic standard deduction. If both spouses are age 65 and older, the additional deduction is $3,200. And if both spouses are age 65 and older, the new bonus deduction this year is $12,000, which is $6,000 per spouse, bringing a potential maximum deduction for a married filing joint tax return where both spouses are age 65 and older up to $46,700. However, if one of the spouse or both of the spouses are blind in addition to the 65 age and older, you add another $1,600 per person, which bring that potential deduction up to $49,900. So why am I talking about all of this? Here again, my goal is help you to keep dollars in your pocket. These deductions will go to reduce the amount of income you pay taxes on. So in the tax return that I was doing in the clinic for this couple who are both, they qualified for the nobody was blind, so they qualified for the $46,700 because they both over 65. And They get both the bonus deduction. They both get the additional standard deduction in addition to the regular standard deduction. So what their scenario turned out to be. So after, I just kind of did the numbers. I wanted to say, what did their return look like before this new deduction? Because that's the big thing that has changed. So before the new deduction, they owed like $1,251. So after putting everything in and factoring in their withholding and all of that, their refund now is $2,479. And so we know how we calculate that tax savings. You take the $1,251 plus the $2,479, and that's your tax savings. So I will do some math here for you. So we'll take the $1,251 that they owed before, plus the $2,479 that they're now getting a refund. That is a tax savings of $3,730. So I wanted to share this information with you just in case you are age 65 or older, or your parents, or somebody that is age 65 or older. Tell them about this new benefit, because what's going to happen is they're going to see some more dollars, a few more dollars in their pocket this year. And I'm so happy to be able to share with my clients about their tax savings. And I hope that you will share with somebody else this information. Now, that's all I have for you today. But guess what? If you have any questions or you need any additional information, you can always visit us at www.virtualtaxclinic.com. So, hey, that's all I have for today. But until next time, guess what I'm going to be doing? I'm going to be eagerly waiting to welcome you for the next episode when you press play. So have a great day. Until next time, bye-bye.